Hey guys, and welcome back to an absolutely amazing day here in Antarctica. It's a little bit too bright today to have my goggles off. So today's job is to drive about 40 kilometers in that direction there, out into the middle of McMurdo Sound, and we're off to pick up a sea ice science group out there. K066 is their event number here at Scott Base, and they've got a container camp of about 9 containers, so we're going out with D6 Piston Bully 300, and I'm driving the Haglin behind me. It's an absolutely incredible day. As you can see, up behind me here is Mount Erebus, which, as we know, is an active volcano. So that little puff of cloud at the top is actually smoke. And it feels like probably -3 today and sun shining. So it's quite comfortable. Still got a jacket on, but underneath I'm just wearing one thermal and that's it. So it's an absolutely amazing day to be down on this incredible continent. So we've been driving for about 2 hours and we've probably got about 2 more hours to go. So that's the view behind us and that's the view in front of us. Pretty much the same. We're right out in the middle of McMurdo Sound now. Looking ahead, we've got the dry valleys in the distance. Mount Lister and some little islands, and then over to the right there we've got New Harbour. Tell us what you found, Scott.
Emperor penguin tracks.
Where were they going?
This way. Well, there's little flippers as well.
So it's a pretty slow drive. The D6 runs at about 8 kilometers an hour. The Haglin does about 30 kilometers an hour, and the PB 300 does 15k an hour, but we're running at D6 speed, so we're all kind of trucking along at about 8 kilometers an hour, which makes the 40 kilometer journey quite long. So you might be wondering what the scientists are actually studying out here in the middle of nowhere. They're studying the cold water that comes from under the Ross ice shelf, and it comes out around here on the sea ice edge and freezes, causing a lot of platelets to form. So below us we've got about 2 meters of sea ice, and then below that, in some spots there's up to 11 meters of this platelet ice, and it's like, imagine a whole bunch of big snowflakes, like big flakes of ice, and they're down there and they're formed underneath the sea ice, which is, it's pretty cool. So if you put down a hole, for example, they've got a couple of dive holes here, all the platelets come floating up into that hole. They're also measuring the thickness of the snow on top of the ice and the thickness of the ice overall, and they're comparing this to some satellite data that they're getting, because they want to be able to predict or measure the thickness of the sea ice from the satellites up in space, and that way it saves coming down here every year and doing it. If you can measure it with a satellite, then you can go anywhere in the world and measure the thickness of the sea ice. but you have to get a lot of data first to compare the two together to make sure that you're getting the right numbers. So that's what Nellie Robinson and her crew, K066, are doing out here. They come down each year and they've got a pretty awesome camp that they put together. It's definitely one of the more organised science events that we get come through Scott Base. So we arrived at the camp before and we've kind of packed up some of the sleds getting ready for tomorrow, but most of it we're going to do tomorrow morning. We've got to get all of the containers together into a big long container train, or two container trains, one behind the PB, one behind the Bulldozer, and then we're going to head home. So we're just enjoying the evening. It's all foggy here so we can't see any view, but it's pretty cool. Good morning. So we slept in the dive hut last night, which was pretty cool. It was so hot in there. Yesterday evening was so amazing that we just stayed up until about 2 o'clock in the morning. We had some beers and pretty much sat in the dive hole just looking at the platelets that were formed down in the dive hole, which was pretty cool. So it was a very fun evening. Behind me you can see the line of containers. We're almost ready to start to head back to Scott Base. We've got a couple of sleds behind the Haglin. We've got 4 containers behind the PB300, and then we're just finalising the 5 containers behind the D6. Right now there's about 2 metres of ice below us. So Haglins can drive on 70 centimetres of ice, and the PB300 needs just over a metre of ice underneath it, and the D6 requires 1.5 metres of ice to be driving on. So out here there's about 2 metres of ice, so it's super safe to be driving around in these vehicles. In a month or two there's no way we'd be driving any vehicles onto the sea ice because it starts to become quite thin and very dangerous. So we're just taking a small detour and we've got this massive iceberg behind us. In iceberg terms this is actually quite small, but as you can see it's probably the size of a small city, I guess, and it's about 50 metres high on each side, and we're going to go for a drive along next to it. The GPS has us 10k out from Scott Base now, and we just stopped to take some photos of the PB and the D6 going past with the containers. It's pretty amazing watching them tow the containers along behind them. I've only got 2 sleds behind my Haglin, so I can go a little bit faster than they can still. It is really cold here now. It's still a beautiful sunny day, but it's like blowing 20 knots of wind and it's wickedly cold. So I'm going to go jump back in the Haglin, drive the last 10 kilometers back to Scott Base, and job is done. So until my next adventure here in Antarctica, thanks for watching and I hope you enjoyed.